Hello all. Today we are going to read a poem named Fire and Ice by Robert Frost from First Flight of Grade 10. In this poem today we will have the explanation, the vocabulary as usual, literary devices and rhyming scheme. So all set? Let's first read the poem. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. So let us understand what the poem is about. Is it about fire and ice literally, or there is some figurative meaning? Yes, you understood right. There is some figurative meaning in this poem. As in the previous poem, Dust of Snow, I have told Robert Frost is a poet of nature. His poems generally revolves around nature. Similarly, in this poem, he talked about fire and ice. Metaphorically, he is talking about the two different aspects that is prevailing in this world. Fire. So, let us understand what he wants to say through fire. According to him, fire, it represents greed, cruelty, conflict, fury. Fury means anger, great anger, बहुत ज़्यादा, great anger, right? And what is the meaning of ice in the poem? Is it something positive, cold, peace? No. Ice means here intolerance. People, they cannot tolerate anything. If elders say something to the youngers, they cannot tolerate. Or if age mates say something to each other, they cannot tolerate. Intolerance to anything. Rigidity. Rigidity. Everyone is rigid on their statement. If I have said this, it will be done. They don't care about how will it affect to someone. No, that is rigidity, abundant. Insensitivity. Coldness. No feelings in the heart. No feelings for anyone. Indifference. Indifference of thoughts amongst family members, amongst friends, amongst age mates. Hatred. So, this poem has to be understood in two different ways. One is literally and other is metaphorically. Why I have said metaphorically? Because in this poem, fire and ice, these words are used as a metaphor. Right? So, the poet says, poet Robert Frost says that this world will come to an end both with fire and ice. If we talk about literal meaning, so fire we all know extinguishes, finishes everything if it is a strong fire. Ice, how? Ice is melting due to global warming. Temperature is increasing. The world will end. So in both the ways, may it be fire, if the fire flourish, world will end. And if icebergs melts, temperature is rising, the world will end. And what about metaphorically? What poet wants to say? The poet directly wants to say that amongst everyone, amongst the people, what is prevailing? Greed, cruelty, conflict, fury. People, they don't care for each other, not for any of the living beings. And in the same way, ice, intolerance, rigidity, insensitivity, coldness. Anyhow, this will extinct the world. This will, no matter what you do. But yes, we need to work upon it. In the end, the poet has said, ice would be suffice. It will be. Suffice means sufficient, sufficient enough. Ice is sufficient enough to extinguish, to finish the world. Because with indifference, intolerance, the world will automatically come to an end. There will be catastrophic change. Catastrophic means disastrous. There will be disastrous, catastrophic. The world will annihilate. There is a word in the poem that is suffice. Means sufficient, enough. The poet says, though I favor fire, the people who say that world will end in fire, I favor them, I support them, that yes, the world will end in fire with all these qualities. You may say qualities here. But on the other hand, poet says, if the world has to perish twice, perish means finish. If the world has to destroy twice, I feel ice is also sufficient for that. These traits, intolerance, indifference, hatred, these are also sufficient that will lead the world to an extinction. Fine. Moving towards literary devices. This is one of the poem that has 6 literary devices. Number 1, alliteration. As usual, you will find in most of the poems this literary device. Number 2, assonance. Number 3, anaphora. Number 4, symbolism. Number 5, enjambment. Number 6, imagery. Right? How? Alliteration is as usual repetition of the initial sound, consonant sound. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say world will, WW. Similarly, assonance. Assonance is a repetition of vowels. But if it had to perish twice, if it, I, the sound, we need to work upon the sound there. Anaphora, the words repeated in the beginning. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. Some. This is anaphora, in the beginning. Right? Next, symbolism. Fire and ice symbolizes the cruelty, intolerance. Enjambment, the poem has no punctuation mark, in continuation, just at the end. Then we have imagery. Reading the poem, we could imagine the fire, we could imagine the ice, icebergs melting, ice caps melting. Right? Now let's talk about rhyming scheme. That is, this poem has two unequal stanzas. Rhyming scheme is not uniform in this. The first stanza goes with A, B, A, A. Second stanza goes with A, B, A, B, A. Right? So this is the vocabulary for the poem. Explanation already given. These are the literary devices and this is the rhyming scheme. So if you have understood this, if you feel worth sharing this video, do share it with your near and dear ones, and of course, do let me know with the comments that how did you like this video, this explanation. Thank you.